Good morning and welcome to another episode of Josh and Pat. If you'd like to support the show, please check out our link to the Patreon in the description of the episode. But today, we start with the Puka Nucua legacy game. Is Puka Nucua officially a top 5 receiver in the NFL? And coming off last night's performance, it would be hard to argue no. Puka, this year, coming in as a 5th-round pick, has now set himself apart from the rest of the league. It's Puka and everyone else, besides that guy in Miami. That guy named Tyreek Hill, he's still pretty good. But when we look at the stats, going in to this week 16 action, Puka Nucua was ranked 6th in the amount of yards put up during the season. Puka just had one of the most electric legacy games of all time. Week 16, fantasy playoffs on the line. If you took Puka Nucua in your draft or were lucky enough to get him on the waiver wire at the beginning of the season, Puka may have just won you your fantasy league last night. But enough of the fantasy football talk. Puka Nucua is a game changer for this Los Angeles Rams offense. Puka, 5 touchdowns on the season, has over 1,300 yards receiving. This is his rookie year. I mean, forget about Cooper Kupp. Forget about Demarcus Robinson. Forget about Tyler Higbee. Puka Nucua is having one of the most electric and impressive performances we've seen from a rookie wide receiver. Definitely recently, but maybe all time. But where can the Rams go with this? Rams now sit 8-7. They do control their own playoff destiny. But where do the Rams go? Can the Rams make a run? And to that, I say, I think they can. The Los Angeles Rams have to play the Giants. And then, unfortunately, they do have to play the 49ers, which I got a feeling that game's going to matter. I do have a feeling that game's going to matter. But you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to check it off. They're going to beat the Giants. They're going to be double-digit favorites, even though it is in New York. The 49ers, we'll see. Maybe San Francisco, they're resting some guys going into the playoffs. Maybe they know they're going to get that 1 seed. Maybe they know they're getting that 2 seed, and they just want to rest some guys. I think Los Angeles is the team to watch out for. Los Angeles is the biggest threat to the San Francisco 49ers left in the playoffs. They're an in-division opponent, and we've seen what the 49ers have done to the Eagles, have done to the Cowboys. We don't really expect Baker and the boys down there in Tampa to have much of a threat to San Francisco. Do we think the Lions can do something? Maybe that's the answer. But what I do know is those boys down there in Los Angeles, they're number 1, healthy now. And number 2, look like they're getting some playoff football going. And look like they're on the right track. So Puka Nucua, a guy I didn't know existed until about week 1 or week 2 this year, just happens to be one of the best players in the league. But enough of Los Angeles Rams. Enough of Puka Nucua. There's a guy that we need to talk about. And I sit here, I wear my Ravens hoodie. It's family to me, Josh. It's family, because I know Josh is watching at this point. He's watching back. He's going, this episode's uploaded. It's family to me. I sit here, I wear my Baltimore Ravens sweatshirt. You know who's family to me? John Harbaugh. He's been our coach since 2008. But you know who's family to John Harbaugh? That's his brother Jim. And because of that, I'm a Michigan man when it comes to football. He's practically family to me. And that guy, Jim, well, after he wins the national championship this year, sounds like he might be going to LA. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like he might be the new Chargers coach. And let's be honest, that sounds like a great hire. What do you get with Jim Harbaugh? Well, you get a guy that's been to a Super Bowl. You've been a guy that's proven he can coach at multiple levels. And you get a guy that a lot of players like. Players like playing for Jim Harbaugh. And the other thing that you get, if Jim Harbaugh is in the NFL, well, you don't get tampering issues, more than likely. Well, you could. You could get the tampering issues, but I'm confident to say you're not going to get tampering issues for buying a recruit a burger as the coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm almost confident to say you're not going to get a cheating scandal for advanced scouting your opponents. And I'm willing to say, I don't think, as the coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, you would get in trouble for having a guy like Connor Stallions on your staff. Now, it remains to be seen if Connor would travel with Jim to go to Los Angeles. I mean, he is a Michigan man through and through. I mean, that guy, I don't think he leaves Ann Arbor, except when he was a U.S. veteran. I think he did have to leave Ann Arbor. So he probably has left. Yeah, I think he has left Ann Arbor. But the point is, can Jim Harbaugh save the Chargers? Because I'll be honest, I'm told Justin Herbert, he can be a top 5 guy. I haven't seen that. Have you seen that? Because I haven't seen that. People are going to say they've seen flashes. Flashes aren't good enough for me. That's what I say. But can Jim Harbaugh prove that Justin Herbert would be the perfect quarterback? Because listen, what would Jim Harbaugh do? Well, Jim Harbaugh would try to straighten up that offensive line. He would go, we're going to have one of the best offensive lines in the league. He'd also say, I need maybe 8 good running backs. And he would just run the ball, maybe every play. And he'd be like, you know what? Then he would remember, hey, we got Justin Herbert. And we got Keenan Allen. We're just going to throw it down there. Hey, maybe Keenan can come up with a play. I mean, you can't forget that you got Quentin Johnston. I mean, you guys spent first-round pick on that guy. So you would think they're going to try to push the ball to him at some point next year. You know, maybe, I'm always told, biggest leap you make as a player, year 1 or year 2. I think this could be a perfect opportunity for Jim Harbaugh to prove he is one of the best coaches. Not just in college, not just in the NFL, but in football. In football. Good for Jim. I'm happy for Jim. And, speaking of dysfunctional organizations, this wouldn't be one that we normally highlight. But I'll tell you what. The Pittsburgh Steelers right now, they've had better days. And here's what I'm going to say. People that are going to watch this are going to go, Homer Ravens fan here, making fun of the Steelers. Yeah, heck yeah, I am making fun of the Steelers. But I do respect the Steelers. I do. I respect what they've done. I respect what they've built. I respect the games they play against the Ravens. They're not dirty. They play hard, meaningful football. But there is trouble in paradise. What is paradise? Well, paradise is not a losing record. It's not losing 3 straight games. I can tell you that. But George Pickens has been under fire all week. But I'm not here to talk about George. Well, I am here to talk about George. But his teammate threw him under the bus. His teammate on Thursday threw him under the bus. Who is that teammate? Well, it's now their number 1 running back, considering Najee Harris might have the worst vision I've ever seen from any running back ever. Jaylen Warren. Jaylen Warren said, we've seen the infamous video all week. George Pickens not blocking. He's not doing it. He's just not doing it right by the end zone. You know, maybe if he throws that block on that cornerback, maybe the Steelers score. Maybe if they score there, maybe it's a different game. Maybe we're talking about the Steelers. You know, making a little run towards the end of the year, finding their way. Maybe Mitch Trubisky looks different. Maybe Mitch Trubisky still has his job at the starting quarterback. But we don't live in that reality. We just don't. We live in the reality where George Pickens decided not to block. Why did George Pickens decide not to block? Well, he's looking out for himself. How can you not look out for yourself? George Pickens, he said he didn't want to get rolled up, didn't want to get hurt like the Tank Dell injury. He's not thinking about this season. He's thinking about next season. He's thinking about the season after that. He's thinking about long-term in his career. Because people, regardless of how many actual receptions he has, regardless of how many yards he has, how many touchdowns he has, people legitimately think he can be a top 10 guy if he's in a competent offense. Well, it turns out Matt Canada was the most competent offense he probably had this year, and that's gone. So George's just looking ahead. But Jaylen Warren said that if he was George Pickens, he would have thrown that block for George. If he was in George Pickens' spot, he would have thrown that block for George Pickens. And he feels like he didn't get it back from George. And you know why he feels that? Because he didn't get it back from George. George didn't block for him. Jaylen Warren said he would have. He would have blocked for George. Steelers now going to be on their third starting quarterback this year, coming up this weekend. And I hope they get that figured out. I do hope they get that figured out. We'll have more of the Steelers in the back half of the show. But now on to another team in Pennsylvania, trouble in paradise. That's also dropped 3 straight games. And remember, this show, Josh and Pat, we are not anti-Eagle. We're anti-Philadelphia. We're anti-Philadelphia. If the Eagles played in Springfield, Missouri, I don't know if I'd have anything wrong with them. But they play in the city of brotherly love. The city that's known for Rocky. Well, today they're known as losers because they've dropped 3 straight, and those are the Philadelphia Eagles. But it's not their fault that they've dropped 3 straight. That couldn't be their problem. It's not their fault they got blown out against the 49ers. Not their fault that they got blown out against the Cowboys. And not their fault that Drew Lock delivered an impressive home Monday night performance. Not their fault. It's not their fault that Dom got kicked off the sideline. Big Dom. It's not their fault. A.J. Brown came out and said they need to get rid of Monday Night Football games. That's what seems to be the issue. That's why they lost. It's not because they gave up the lead in the last 2 minutes. That's not why they lost. They shouldn't be playing Monday Night Football games. That's what A.J. Brown said. He said they need to get rid of Monday Night Football because it's just not fair. It's not fair to have to be playing on a short week, especially when you're banged up after that. It's just not fair. Well, A.J. Brown, unfortunately, that's just not how the NFL works, man. Not to mention, you had the extra day to get prepared for the Seahawks. Sure, if you want to argue, maybe coming into this week, it's a short week. Hey, maybe that's the problem. But it's not. Short week against the Giants, maybe you're arguing, man, I wish we would have had the full 7 days to recover. But instead, after a loss, when they had 8 days to recover, A.J. Brown's trying to get the league changed. And is he setting his Eagles up for failure here? Is this loser talk from A.J. Brown? It sure does feel that way. It feels that way that he is putting out there that if they lose against the New York Football Giants and Tommy DeVito, it's only because they played on a short week. It's only because of Monday Night Football. That's the reason. Well, news flash to A.J. Brown. A.J., more than likely, if this game was played on Sunday, your starting quarterback would have not played. I was told he was really sick. And you know what happened on Monday Night Football? He got a full extra day plus. Full extra day to recover, hydrate up, take that private plane out to Seattle, and try to win you a football game. And is this A.J. Brown saying that, hey, maybe Jalen Hurts isn't the guy? I don't think so. But what I do know is it felt like the Monday Night Football start time for the Eagles. It was the best thing that could have happened to them because I'm not sure they wanted to trot out Marcus Mariota. Either way, they were losers Monday night. And speaking of Monday night, another story that comes out, Geno Smith, he was hurt. Not hurt on the field. Hurt in the heart. He was hurt he didn't get the start. He was hurt that Pete Carroll wouldn't let him go out there and be the starting quarterback. Well, he was hurt. But he was happy. He was happy for Drew Lock. He was. He made sure that was known. He was happy for Drew Lock. Does look like Geno Smith's going to be on track to start this weekend. That's what he feels like. But he was a little hurt that he didn't get the nod. And you know what? Pete Carroll, he decided to give it to Drew. Geno was happy for Drew. But it looks like Geno is not going to write back. And it looks like he'll be the starting quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks again. But he's letting you know he was hurt. Maybe not just physically. But he was hurt in the heart too. Okay. So we teased earlier in the show that we get back to the Steelers. And here we are. Josh and Pat, Game of the Week, presented by picksandpancakes.shop. You can get all of your merch, hoodies, shirts, long sleeves. Picksandpancakes.shop. Anti-Philly club's in there. Josh and Pat, Pat's Time Machine takes. You can get all of the latest merch in Sporter Show. Picksandpancakes.shop. Bengals at Steelers, Josh and Pat's Game of the Week. And why do we pick this game? Well, it is a nationally televised game. It's a battle for the AFC North. And it's a battle to keep playoff hopes alive. This game, I'll tell you what. This is a must-win for the Steelers. They got to have it. The Steelers have to have this game, or else their season's essentially over. When we look at the playoffs right now, Steelers sitting in the 10 seed, but only a game back of the 6 seed. And the 6 seed right now, the Cincinnati Bengals. And what they're doing with Jake Browning looks like might just be enough to get them to the playoffs. Game of the week, who am I taking and what are we looking at here? It's a 3-point favorite for the Cincinnati Bengals, and I will be hammering the Cincinnati Bengals -3 against the Pittsburgh Steelers because I think the Steelers are dead. They're done. The season's over. It's over. Pack it up. Mason Rudolph, he's not the guy. He can't change this. Kenny Pickett's not back to save him this week. But the Steelers have to win. Maybe this is a double renegade Saturday, right before Christmas. And maybe I'm all wrong. They play renegade twice. They get the boys going. But I'm thinking Cincinnati, Jake Browning. Without Jamar Chase, I think. Get it done on the road. And I'm going to be completely honest. The more and more I keep talking about this and talk about my prediction for the Cincinnati Bengals, the less and less confident I'm getting. Because I just remember that Jamar Chase is out. And that, you know what, that's on me. That's on the prep guys here, the interns at the studio. They could have gave me that sheet. They could have gave me the sheet, but they didn't. They didn't give me that. They forgot to put that on the sheet. And you know what? Right hand up. That's on the intern. So, Josh and Pat Game of the Week. I'm taking the Bengals. I got a good feeling that's what Josh would take too. I think that's what Josh would take. I really do. I do. National televised game on NBC. You can watch it Saturday. 3:30, no plugs, no big deal. Okay, last to get to here. I think that's pretty much the show. I think it is. Riding solo today. Josh and Pat updates. Here we go. Joshy's gone. I'd argue pretty personal day for him. I wouldn't say anything bad going on, but he took the personal day. And some would also call it a travel day too. And you get that on a Friday, and that's good for him. He's making that travel day, making that personal day, and that's fine. You know what? Congratulations to Josh. Big Friday for him. Updates here. A lot of stuff going on, and you got to power through it. Some of it, not. Some of it definitely your fault. But here's the deal, and here's what I do know. Is we're set up to have a great Christmas. Why is that? We're set up to have a great Christmas because you're going to be surrounded by family. But we have so much sports to watch, so many things to get you distracted by the family if you don't like them, or to bring you together if you love their family, love your family. But we have so much sports on. Let's take advantage of this time where A, we don't have school, work, jobs. I do understand that some of us probably do still have school, work, and jobs during this, but a lot of people do not. Let's take this time to be with family and to watch sports. I think that's all it's going to do for the show today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. We'll see you back for another episode of Josh and Pat. I would normally tell you on Monday, but it's going to be Christmas. I'm going to be honest. Spend time with your family. Watch some sports. So we won't be back Monday. Next live stream, we don't know, but would imagine there's a good chance it takes place before next Sunday. So we'll be back next week for another episode of Josh and Pat. Peace.